All right, let's try another update query, but we're going to take this one a step further. In this example, I just replaced some text. I said, take the take the sales representative, update him to account executive. And again, that's something you could have done in the table through find and replace. Here I built a query to do it. So you do have some benefits again. Inside the action query, the update query, I could do it across multiple tables with multiple records. I could do it with a calculation. And that's actually what we're going to do next. We're going to perform an update, but base it off of a calculation. So I'm going to close this one. I don't need it. I'm not going to save it. I'll say no. And in that case, updating the records from one value to another, it's probably a one and done thing. I updated all the sales reps to account executives. Now we're done. We'll move forward. No longer do we have sales reps. We now got account executives. So I don't really need to keep that query. Well, the next one, we're going to build an update query that will update it'll update the freight. Remember doing that earlier? We created a new freight column and we bumped up the freight on everybody by 10%. Well, here, we're going to update it so it affects the table. The query calculation that we created earlier, that new freight calculation only existed in the query. That was it. The table still had the old freight value. Well, I want to update the records and I want to update them for good. Then I'll use the update query to update the original source. All right, so I'm going to create a new query. Same steps, create query design, and I'm going to grab the orders table. All right, I'll close the show table window. All right, so once again, there's really only one field in here that I'm concerned with. It's the freight column. So I'll bring the freight down and I'm going to turn it into an update query. All right, I want to update everybody. Every single record, I'm going to bump it up by 10%. Okay? So no criteria this time because I'm going to do it for all 830 records. And I'm going to tell it to update freight by freight times 1.1. We're going to bump up everybody's freight by 10%, right? 110%. And that's it. I'm not going to add any criteria because I'm going to do it for all 830 records. All right, here we go. So I've got the update in there. I can preview it. I can just do datasheet view first. Okay, great. There's 830 records. That looks good. Get back to design view, and I'm going to go ahead and run it. All right, you're about to update 830 rows. Great. Once you click yes, you can't undo this command. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. I'll hit yes. All right, once again, nothing happened. It didn't show you any results. So I want to make sure this is pretty solid in your mind. You don't want to run it again. If you run this again, you will bump it up another 10%. Okay? You can test it. You can go to the view and you can do datasheet view. This won't execute it, but if I had memorized the prior ones, they should now be updated 10% beyond what they were before. All right. So they are updated. I can see the 3562. It was 32 something before. 32, I can't remember the exact amount, but did get updated. And these numbers, if I were to open up the orders table, they did get updated there as well. 3562, which matches the first one back in the query. All right, so there's another update query, another action query, update query, but using a calculation this time in order to provide the update. Now, a little challenge for you. I'm going to give you a challenge. Create an if. I want you to use an if statement in there. What do you think? If the country equals USA, bump it up 10%. If the country equals Canada, bump it up 12%. What do you think? Could we do that? Think about it. How could you do that? Could we build the calculation there? Would it take criteria to do that? How could you bump it up different rates for different countries? Or maybe different months, right? Depending on what month you're in. Maybe it's different discounts. I want to give them a bigger discount if it's August compared to July, compared to December, right? How would you do that one? So think about that. That's your challenge. How would you perform an update with a calculation, but make it more dynamic based on country or based on the month the order took place? Share your thoughts. Jump into the Q&A section. Let us know how you would do it. And if you got any questions, ask your questions as well.